Welcome to The Artist Matters. I'm Alex Rudy. Each episode features an artist sharing their creative journey, their origins, what inspires them, their process, and offering up a little inspiration, motivation, and advice to help you on your creative journey. Whether you're doing it for fun or looking to make a living, this show will help you on your journey and let the world know your art matters. Hello, one and all, and welcome to The Artist Matters with me, your host, Alex Rudy. It is Halloween time, and as promised, I have one more Halloween episode for this month, and it's coming at you in just a little bit. Hope you're doing creative stuff. Did a little shopping. I'm going to do a little Grease theme at work, so I get to channel my Danny Zuko. Don't make me laugh. Ha, ha, ha. So that's coming up. But some other significant things. I had my 18th anniversary with my wife on October 13th. 18 years total together. We went on our first date October 13th, 2002, and we got married October 13th, 2006. Happy anniversary, baby. Really not much we could do because of the pandemic, but still, it's great to be together and just sharing life and experiences and couplehood. And October 16th was Mom's birthday. Second birthday without Mom, but let's make it Mom Day. Celebrate her life. That's what it's all about. And if you have your moms out there still, hug them, kiss them, tell them you love them, and know that they love you. And just enjoy your time with them because it is limited. But love your mom, miss you. I know you would love this show. Halloween's with you were lots of fun. You took us out trick-or-treating. For one Halloween, she took me and my friends to McDonald's as a Halloween party, and they took me in the back and showed me how they made the burgers. I thought it was one of the coolest things ever. Little did I know I'd be working for their competitor, Burger King, when I was 18. Yeah, the luster of it just kind of wore off after that. Still, I had fun times. She was always great at taking us trick-or-treating and very creative. She made me a Superman costume. She sewed it. It was one of my favorite costumes of all time. So, miss you, Mom. Love you. And hope you enjoyed this episode. This is episode 68, and this was like a year in the making. I don't know how I found her, but this guest has a Halloween art and travel website. And I think we discovered each other after I reached my quota of Halloween guests. So I'm like, oh man. So I said, well, next Halloween, I'll get you on the show. And here she is. She is a Halloween art collector, podcaster, Halloweenist. Her name is Kristen Stafford. Yes, she's loved Halloween all her life and celebrates it year-round. May taper off around Christmas, but she collects Halloween art. That's her thing, collecting original pieces. She'll still buy some retail stuff that's in the stores, but she's looking for those original pieces made by artists who pour their heart and spookiness into their craft. She started off with the Department 56 Halloween Village sets, and eBay helped as she grew her collection. Then she found Halloween art shows and started going to them, meeting the artists of some of these pieces she's bought in the past, connecting with them, and hearing their stories. And somewhere along the way, she decided to try her hand at podcasting and has created the Halloween Art and Travel Podcast. It debuted in August of 2018, and this year it's in its second season, where she interviews, you guessed it, artists who make Halloween art. exclusively. Pretty good podcast so far. I've listened to a few episodes. So check that out. And she is a taphophile. Someone who is very intrigued by cemeteries. She volunteers as a tour guide for a local cemetery and is really interested in the history and the art surrounding tombstones and places like that. She's also been to some great Halloween locations like Anoka, Minnesota, which is labeled as the Halloween capital of the U.S., Sleepy Hollow, Hell, Michigan. Yes, there is a Hell, Michigan. New Orleans, and a little stopover in Salem. Yes. And she has one amazing collection. She showed it to me. She has so many more stories, and I'm so glad we got her on the show. So without further ado, let's get spooktacular and listen to my chat with Kristen Stafford. Welcome to the show, Kristen Stafford. Hello.
Thank you, Alex. It's an honor to be here.
It's been like a year in the making, actually. I think I remember finding you maybe on Instagram, or I might have put something out there for looking for Halloween-themed artists.
I think it was Kathy Heller's Facebook group, Don't Quit Your Day Job. And I think it was maybe like one of those posts where she let you promote your thing, or someone was asking about podcast, and I had to jump in and say, I have a Halloween podcast. And then I know there's a little chatter, and you said, I'd like you to be on my podcast. And you made good on it.
Yes, it took a year, because I think I already filled my quota of Halloween artists for the month of October last year. And now my show is bi-weekly, but I said, okay, I'll put you on the list, because you got a very interesting Halloween-themed artistic flavor. We'll get into that in a little bit. But speaking of this magical holiday, what was it like celebrating Halloween growing up where you did in Michigan?
So where I grew up in Michigan, one of the things I liked about that time is you could still, and it's not the case, I don't know how it is all over, but where I live today is outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, and the public schools aren't allowed to have parties or any kind of parties. So they don't have holiday parties. So they don't have like a fall festival or Halloween. But one of my favorite, so it's sad that my kids can't experience that. But one of my fondest memories growing up is getting to have a Halloween parade at school. So everyone would bring their costumes to school and change into them, and then parade around the elementary school. And then, a couple of parents would come in, and we'd eat tons of candy and not have to do work. So that's a very fond memory that I'm sad that my kids can't join in today. And then one of my other favorite traditions growing up is my best friend in my childhood, and we're still best friends forever now. Her name is Erin. So Erin and I, when we were younger, would tend to go over either to her house, or we would go into Bay City, Michigan, and go to my aunt's house, because my aunt lived in a subdivision. And Erin and I lived out in the country, and there weren't many houses. So we'd go to my Aunt Karen's house, get pizza, and just try to get as much candy as possible and stay up. And I loved everything about it. I loved planning the costume, wearing it. I loved getting lots of candy. I loved how, and this was in the 80s, that my Aunt Karen's neighbors really got into it. Some would make little bags up. And one of my fondest memories, and I don't know if it's because I was a kid and I'm making this out to be bigger than it was, but I remember someone made their garage, opened the garage door and made it into a mad scientist laboratory. And it must have been the husband or whoever, the man that lived in this house was laying on a table dressed as Frankenstein, and he had the bowl on his belly, and you had to go up and get it, and you were so freaked out because you didn't know is this guy gonna reach out and grab you, which I don't remember him doing that, but I don't know if that would fly now. But it was absolutely wonderful and something I have never forgotten.
Did you decorate your house a lot back then?
Not that much. I think my mom would put out like a fake scarecrow. Well, they're all fake, aren't they? I guess a scarecrow and some jack-o'-lanterns and maybe some plastic things, but nothing. My parents didn't do anything, excessive. And like I said, I think it's because where I grew up a little bit north of Bay City, Michigan, called Collin, it was very rural, so you didn't get a lot of trick-or-treaters there. But then my aunt's neighborhood that was in Bay City was was a tightly populated subdivision, so they did more there.
Any favorite costumes that you remember in your youth?
I liked lots of costumes. I think one of the most common costume I don't remember if I dressed up as it, but I remember in these like elementary school parades, there was a lot of like kind of like 80s rockers. So like the boys would dress up kind of like metal and like put color in their hair and wear like Megadeth t-shirts. And then the girls would kind of have like a Madonna look. So I can't remember if I did that myself. I remember one year was a fortune teller. That seemed to be a recurring theme. I always love the traditional witch. I mean, witches will never go out of style. They'll outlast us. So, of course, I've done a witch. And I know one year I was really proud I was a skeleton and did my makeup. And that was kind of like towards the, when I was a little older, and I was pretty proud of that. But one thing, as we're talking, I just remembered, one of my things is a pet peeve is when people say like, oh, teenagers are too old to trick or treat. I think you're never too old to trick or treat. I'm okay if adults want to trick or treat. But I remember in high school, and this probably was like junior or senior year, the man that is now my husband and I and a group of friends went trick-or-treating together. So, and I dressed as a man, my husband that is not my husband, dressed as a woman. And then like some of our friend Christy was our dog and our friend Sarah was something else. And we like did this whole like family thing. And that was a lot of fun. And I don't remember anybody being disrespectful to us that we were juniors or seniors in high school out trick-or-treating. So I return the favor now. You're never too old to come to my house to trick-or-treat.
That's right. I like that. Now, you enjoyed arts, crafts, and miniatures as a hobby. Why not pursue a career in the arts?
When I was younger, the two things that I spent my time on was I really liked medical things and biology. I have a drawing that I did in kindergarten that says I want to be a nurse. And I remember that. I remember kind of like in middle school thinking I wanted to be a vet because love animals, love medical stuff, a vet. And then in high school, I wanted to be an occupational therapist. And then when I got to college, I picked medical records. I guess it never hurt. And I enjoyed arts and crafts and miniatures as a hobby. But no, I didn't have any examples or thoughts about doing that as a career or incorporating it into my career. I guess I didn't have a lot of role models and I didn't think of it. And I was very more kind of like practical. Like, if I get a job in healthcare, I'll get a job, I'll get hired, I'll be able to make a good living. However, when I was considering majoring in occupational therapy, in that field, they actually do use a lot of like arts and crafts based on sometimes depending on what populations they're working on. And I got all the way through like all the pre-OT classes, so I did have to take some arts and crafts in college, and I did take some art in high school and really enjoyed it. But then when I switched to medical records, there's not medical records is very analytical and very medical, and I now know that you can apply a love of art and art to everything. I believe that now. I just didn't realize that then.
So you had 20 years in IT.
Yes. And that was until very recently. I kind of, like I said, I was in college and I had gotten all the prerequisite classes done for occupational therapy. And to get into the occupational therapy program proper, you have to do volunteer work. And during the volunteer work,